Alright, just let me double check whether I've got the microphone on. Yep, and it's recording. Yes, little red dot. Okay. Now this is fairly standard. Let's have a look. I want f of h of 1/4. H of 1/4, definitely want to calculate that. F of a negative 1/4, sorry I should have said h of negative 1/4. Okay, so the way I'm going to start 8a is by calculating those and then I'll figure out what to do with them. So h of negative 1/4 is, well, h of x is 1 on x, so I've got 1 on negative 1/4. Now that's the same as 1 divided by negative 1/4, which means it's 1 times negative 4 on 1, keep flip change, which means I've got negative 4. Or you could have literally chucked this whole thing in your calculator, you would have been fine. F of negative 1/4 equals negative 1/4 equals positive 1/4, because f of x is negative x, which means f of h of negative 1/4 is f of, well, negative 4, which means I've got negative 4, which means I've got 4. H of f of negative 1/4 is the same as h of 1/4, which means I've got 1 on 1/4, which means I've got 4. Nice. F of negative 1/4 equals f of 1/4, which equals negative 1/4. H of negative 1/4 equals h of negative 1/4 was negative 4, which means I've got 1 on negative 4, which means I've got negative 1/4. Okay, that was all very weird. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, f of h of x equals h of f of x. Now f of h of x, don't forget h of x is, what was h of x? 1 on x? Yep. So I've got f of 1 on x. I'm trying to show that that's the same as h of f of x, and f of x was just negative x. F of 1 of x is negative 1 of x. H of negative x is 1 on negative x. So negative 1 on x does equal negative 1 on x. Therefore, left-hand side equals right-hand side, like they're both the same. Okay, f of x is the same as f of, well, f of x was minus x. H of x is h of x is 1 on x. Minus x, well, f of minus x will be minus x. H of 1 of x is 1 over 1 on x, which is the same as 1 divided by 1 on x. Negative x is positive x. 1 divided by 1 divided by x, like 1 divided by a half is 2, 1 divided by a quarter is 4, it's x. Left-hand side equals right-hand side. And we're done. And the reason they said x doesn't equal 0 was because we can have x on the bottom. Let's have a look at these ones. Copy. Well, f of h of x equals, so let's do C. F of h of x ended up as negative 1 on x. So for the domain, oh, and if I wanted to sketch that, by the way, well, our normal 1 on x goes like that. So this one's going to go like that. Again, don't bother drawing them well. Okay, so the domain, The only thing we can't have in this is x equals 0. X could literally be anything else. X cannot equal 0. The range, because x never equals 0, or you're never going to get -1 over something equals 0, so y does not equal 0. And for D, h of x equals 1 on x. H of f of x came out as h of f of x, -1 on x. So the negative out the front meant that it was reflected in x axis. Turned upside down. That's question 8.